Okay. I chose this song because it makes a lot of cultural references, and that's our goal in this class, to look at song lyrics and find out what they tell us about American culture. So, let's start with the title, Californication. Now, that's a word that's been around since the 1940s. It's not a word that the Red Hot Chili Peppers created. Let's break it down. Liquid, liquidation, a process to make something liquid. Solid, solidification, a process to make something solid. California, Californication, the process of making something Californian. So the theme of the song is how Hollywood exports California culture. And this is something to be aware of, if not terrified of. I think that the song lyrics are saying that, Californians are weird. They're not average Americans from Nebraska or Iowa or someplace else. Californians ski topless while smoking dope. They wear flowers in their hair. They're surfers and hippies and stoners and weirdos, and Hollywood producers are just crazy. California is the West Coast. Cali, the West Coast. Many Americans call them the left coast because left is liberal. Really, that's the image that California has. So that's one way to break down the word Californication. Another way is to look at the word fornication. So let's break it down this way. California, U.S. state. Fornication, the act of having sex. California fucks with you is the implicit meaning of the title. Now, fucking with somebody means to play with them mentally.
Don't you fuck with me. I'm not fucking with you, sir.
Are you just fucking with me?
I'm fucking with you, Ted.
So there are some common examples of how that meaning is conveyed in popular media. The song's lyrics are full of examples of how California culture kind of, messes with our heads. From Hollywood to the recording industry to the attitudes of Californians. All of this, plays with us psychologically. Okay, let's back up. California is the number one state in the U.S. in population. It's number one in the number of immigrants, too. It also has the greatest ethnic diversity. California is famous for having earthquakes. California earthquakes are a thing. In Japan, we have earthquakes all the time. Nowhere in America do you have earthquakes all the time except in California. A quick look at California history. 200 years ago, California wasn't even a part of the U.S. It belonged to Mexico, full of Mexicans speaking Spanish. 170 years ago, San Francisco was a major point to all the places exotic. China, Japan, Hawaii. San Francisco was the gateway for so many immigrants from the Pacific. San Francisco became an exotic melting pot. It also attracted people from the U.S., the eastern part of the country. When gold was discovered in the California hills in 1849, prospectors traveled, from the east out to the west, to the mountains, to get their share, to strike it rich. 110 years ago, Southern California was discovered by filmmakers. In 1900, America's new movie industry was largely based in and around New York City. Directors discovered that L.A. had year-round sunshine, warm temperatures, almost no rain, really great for outdoor shooting. A small town called Hollywood had cheap land for sale. It wasn't far from the ocean. It was near hilly areas, not so far from snow-peaked mountains, not really far from the California desert. So by 1910, studios were buying land and setting up open-air backlots for shooting, creating outdoor sets, indoor sets on sound stages. And by 1920, 100 years ago, Hollywood was the capital of America's film industry. All the major movie companies were in place, and people from all over the world traveled to Hollywood to become a movie star. Lots of people came to California too in the 1930s because of the Dust Bowl and because of the Great Depression. So the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression were causes of internal migration to California in the 1930s. During that time, 500,000 Americans left their rural homes and migrated to California to do anything, especially farm work. Agriculture, even today, is California's #1 industry. In the 1940s, Californians were already complaining about the growing population, and they were urging population control. In the 1960s, America's music industry had shifted from New York to Los Angeles, creating the California sound, most famously the Beach Boys and surf music. 30 years ago, Silicon Valley, home now to Facebook, Apple, and Google, became the center of America's tech industry. And today, regular Hollywood movies make more money than ever before, $40 billion a year. Despite a diverse economy, California is seen first as the entertainment capital of America. And that brings us back to the song, "It's understood that Hollywood sells Californication." That line reveals that the movie industry creates illusions. It's not reality. The next line, "Pay your surgeon very well or break the spell of aging," refers to the Hollywood obsession of staying young-looking through cosmetic surgery. Another example of how fantasy masks reality in the world of this song. The song makes references to stars on Hollywood Walk of Fame on Hollywood Boulevard, then to the magic that Hollywood creates. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Maybe my favorite line from this song. Science fiction TV show Star Trek is referred to here. Also, later in the song, they refer to Alderaan, a planet from the Star Wars movies. So remember, when you're watching science fiction movies and you see them in space, remember all of that is just, against a green screen in a Hollywood studio. California, you hear about destruction from tsunamis and earthquakes. They are a threat. But according to the lyrics of the song, they also bring creation, good vibrations, which is a nod to the 1966 Beach Boys hit song. Also important in the song is the reference to population control, something that's been an issue in California for generations. Remember, California is #1 in population in the U.S., and especially white middle-class people whose numbers have steadily declined over the years have always promoted population control. The song Californication doesn't tell a story. Instead, it presents fragments of California culture, earthquakes and stars and cosmetic surgery and girls coming with dreams of becoming a star, and unicorns, lots of unicorns. And while presenting these fragments, the singer reminds us that it's all an illusion, it's all temporary. He calls it the edge of the world and the end of Western civilization. So Californication is destroying Western civilization. And the singer sings that the world can't be saved from Californication. California culture, its weirdness, its love of fantasy, it's all being exported by Hollywood to every part of the world, and none of it is real. It's all based on nonsense. The music video is worth taking a look at. It starts by showing California as a game that's loading, so we're going to play a video game. And then we see Cali as an island. It's not, attached to the rest of America. Maybe that's to illustrate that California isn't really a part of America. It's a world unto itself. The music video takes us through the fantasy land of California, and we are players trying to get through the video game. We see religious nuts stopping us on the street. We see the lines of girls trailing off the bus to audition to become a star. We're taken through movie studios to see how fantasy is created. We skateboard on the Golden Gate Bridge, fly through the Redwood Forest, fly down the slopes snowboarding. Images that further reinforce the fantasy nature of California life. It's all an illusion. And repeated throughout the song, dream of Californication. That's the perfect thing. That is just the perfect way to look at what California is. California is, and has always been, the land of dreams throughout its history.